ladies and gentlemen. Woo woo! We've got a nice delivery from actually my boss of all people, Chris Megan, on the water. Was out today fishing the Haddock opener, April 15th. Haddock season open today. He gave me a couple of nice, beautiful specimens here, carefully packed up in a shoebox. And this is the first fresh fish I've had in quite a while. I hate buying fish. I've been eating a lot of clams, as you can see. That was going to be my dinner tonight, still will be. But absolutely psyched to get some fresh fish. Just caught today haddock, one of my favorite fish. Very subtle white meat, excellent eating. Probably one of my top 4 fish to eat. I love this stuff, fresh out of Cape Cod Bay. And we're gonna get these suckers filleted up. Just gonna do this like any other fish. Start our first cut here, work down along the backbone. So we're just gonna work the first fillet off the backbone, working from head to tail. We're gonna get the fillet started about to the spine. And once I reach the spine, this is the trick not many people know about, but I like to get the first fillet started, then I flip the fish over. And we'll start the second side. Cut down diagonally right to the backbone. Get the cut started right along the spine. Lift up the fillet and just work that back gently off of the backbone. Alright, I've gotten down to the rib cage. A lot of people go through the rib cage. You don't pick up that much more meat, so I generally, most fish I fillet, I'll work around that rib cage. And you do lose a little bit of meat, but we're going to save that later. We're going to make a chowder or a fish stock out of that, so it's not going to go to waste. You can see that meat is absolutely beautiful. It's white as snow. Unlike cod, which is full of worms, the haddock tend not to have many worms, if any at all. We'll still check it, but I doubt these have any worms in them. Alright, we got our first fillet off, and now we're going to go back to the second side that we've already started. Now, if you ever filleted a lot of fish, you know the second side of the fish is always a lot harder. So if you kind of start it first, it makes finishing and taking that second fillet off a lot easier. A sharp knife always helps. And once again, I'm going around the rib cage just because I like a nice bone-free fillet. And just like that, you have 2 beautiful white as snow fillets. And we're also going to save, this is going to make a lovely stock. I'm going to save the backbone from about here back with the fins, and we'll make a nice fish stock out of that. Alright, so I'm just going to break that backbone, and then wherever that broke, put the knife through. And that's going to be the meat for our stock. And I'm also going to take the very top fillet off of this, and that will also go into our fish stock. Alright, here we have 2 lovely haddock fillets. Now, a lot of time when you see haddock in the fish market, it'll have the skin on it. And that's primarily just so you know that it's actually haddock. It's not pollock or hake or something like that. Anytime I cook haddock, I always take the skin off. If you're buying at the fish market, you can certainly ask them to do that for you, but it really is not that hard. So we're going to start by starting at the tail end. Angle the knife back towards the tail, cut down just to the skin. It's going to give us a nice little handle there. Now we're going to slide the knife down gently. We don't want to cut through that skin. We're going to get the cut started, and then we're going to grab this little tail section here. And what we really want to do is hold the knife flat to the cutting board like this, and we're going to move the skin, not the knife. You can see the knife is staying pretty stationary, but we're just going to kind of wiggle the skin back and forth, leaving the knife as close to the cutting board as possible. And we're going to save the skins. Those also have a lot of fat in them, and they'll make a good addition to our fish stock in the stock bag. So here we have a nice, beautiful, bone-free, skin-free haddock fillet. So anytime I'm working with any kind of ground fish, cod especially has a lot of parasitic worms in it. Haddock not so much, but I've seen them in sea bass, I've seen them in fluke. They can be in just about any kind of ground fish. So what I like to do before I cook it is to glass it underneath a light. So if we take this fillet and we hold it up to a light, now if there were any worms in there, which I don't see, they would show up as kind of little dark spots in that. Now the worms, certainly they're not going to do any harm to you. They're not going to get into your body and do any harm, but when I'm eating it myself, I know it's worth looking to see if they're there, and if they are there, I will take them out. Certainly cod, a lot of people don't like to know about it, but they're loaded with worms. If you can't find a worm in a cod fillet, you're probably not looking hard enough. This haddock appears to be immaculate. I don't see any dark spots. And the worms will kind of coil around into little balls in there. So if you see a little dark spot in the fillet, 9 out of 10 times that's going to be a worm. But this appears to be perfectly clear. We'll check the other fillet. I don't know if you can make that out right there. I don't know if that's a worm, but I'm going to find out. Could potentially have a very small worm here. I'm going to put the back of the knife in there. Try to pop that out. And it's just a little spot of blood. Thank God there's no worms in our haddock. We are good to go. But that's what you're looking for. If you see any dark spots in there, you know, hold it up to the light, or if you're outside, you can hold it up to the sun. They'll jump right out at you. Some beautiful worm-free haddock fillets. We're gonna cook these up tomorrow night. All right, all you shut-ins, I feel bad for all the people that are stuck in their houses right now that don't know how to cook. So today I'm gonna be showing you how to make the world's easiest and tastiest baked fish recipe. This recipe is not only super simple, it's also absolutely delicious. I've been eating this pretty much since I crawled out of my mother's womb. To me, this is like a true comfort food. I love it. Anytime I get a really good piece of fresh fish, it's super simple. I don't want to overpower the good quality fresh fish. This is my go-to way for how to prepare it. This recipe works best with like a soft white flesh fish, such as sea bass, tautog, fluke, cod. In this case, we have some beautiful haddock that was just cut out of Cape Cod Bay yesterday, super fresh. So the first step, we just want to take our fish and just make sure there's not any bones. Feel it, you can see right there, I did miss one bone when I was filleting. Check this other one. Same thing here, there's one bone. Make sure we get all the bones out of there. There's nothing nastier than getting served a piece of fish with bones in it. So other than our fish, this recipe only calls for 6 ingredients. We have some Ritz crackers, which is key. I like the hint of salt. You can certainly use regular Ritz crackers, but it'll come out a little bit salty. We have some lemon, some hot sauce of your choice. I like Frank's, whatever you got will work. Black pepper, butter, and white wine. Step 1, we're gonna make some cracker crumbs. We're just gonna open up this package, the sleeve. We're gonna crush them right in the sleeve. I'm gonna take a couple out to munch on. And I'm just going to give these a real good mash. Really lay into them. Get your shoulder into it. Oops. Usually that doesn't happen. I got a little aggressive there. And then we can just kind of mash them up right inside that bag. Step 2, we're going to melt some butter. I'm going to use about 1/3 of a stick of butter. Should be plenty for 2 portions of baked haddock. All right, so this is a good little trick. I put a coffee filter on top of the butter, and that's going to keep it from splattering and making a mess all over the microwave. Pop that in there and let it ride for about 30 seconds. To our melted butter, we're going to add a couple of shots of hot sauce and the juice from 1/4 of a lemon. We'll do that over our hand like this to keep the seeds out of it. Give it a stir. So for this recipe, it's pretty important that you use ceramic baking dishes. If you use metal baking dishes, it's gonna burn. You cook it in a hot oven. So we have 2 ceramic baking pans, individuals. And I'm just gonna put a little thin layer of Ritz cracker crumbs down on each one. Just enough to barely coat the bottom of the pan. So now you'll notice with the fillets you always have a thinner end at the tail section. We're going to take that and tuck that underneath. Place it into the dish, and that's going to make it nice and even in thickness throughout so it cooks evenly. Now just a little dusting of fresh ground black pepper. Now give your butter mixture a good stir. And we're going to drizzle a thin layer on top of the fish. Now we're going to drizzle on some more cracker crumbs on top of the fish. Just a little bit. We don't want to go crazy and make it too thick. Just a little light dusting. And now a little bit more butter, because butter makes it better. Another layer of cracker crumbs. Each one. Barely still see some fish poking through. We don't want to completely bury it in the cracker crumbs. And that looks about right. A little bit more in that little patch. Last but not least, a little bit more butter. And this time we'll kind of drizzle it around the edge of the pan. And this is really going to help it brown up and come out nice golden brown. And that's it. Now they're ready for the oven. And last up, we're going to give these just a little bit of a drizzle of white wine just around the edge of the pan. I'd say this is probably less than a tablespoon. Just want to get a little moisture in there. We'll keep it from drying out. And when you're cooking with white wine, generally you want to use a dry wine. You want to stay away from your Chardonnays. This is a Sauvignon Blanc. Pinot Grigio is another one I commonly use. Those would be the 2 I think are probably the best for cooking. Right now we're going to fire the fish. We have our oven preheated at 425 degrees. And you just want to make sure the rack is in the top third of the oven. You don't want it to be down low. That's going to help them brown up on top. Those bad boys in there. We'll set a timer for 12 minutes and see how they look. And that looks most excellent. Those things are definitely done. You can see the fillets are definitely starting to fall apart. That's what you want. They're quickly cooked. And look at that. Bubbling, golden brown, tasty goodness. Oh man, I've been waiting for this all winter. Nice fresh fish. This was just caught yesterday. Thank you, Chris Megan. Fresh haddock right out of Cape Cod Bay. Simply baked stuffed. Little drizzle of lemon, that's all you need. Oh, this stuff is so good. I can't wait. Down the hatch. So good.